Our 2022 trip to Liberia was focused on the 200th bicentennial celebration, when the first formerly enslaved Africans arrived in that country to found Liberia. We were greeted at the airport with an amazing welcome by cultural dancers and speakers. Of course, I couldn't help resist getting in a little dancing myself with them. Our focus, again, over our 10-day trip was to showcase not only the national celebration, but also tell the story of Liberia, past and present, to inform our audience on the rich history and the connection between Liberia, African Americans, and the United States.
Ladies and gentlemen, we want to welcome you, Roland, to Liberia. We are very happy. We are excited. We love you. As you were coming down the plane, we saw a light for Liberia. And so we know the traditional leaders are here. This is just the beginning to welcome you on this soil and tell you that Liberia awaits you. Be free. Our traditional leaders, please give the kola nut. Well, on behalf of the traditional people, Chief, the chiefs, this is my issue. If I want to be a woman, I will present the phone. But in my own name, as a coordinator coordinating the affair of the Chief and Elder Republic of Liberia, I am pleased to turn the kola over to the Speaker of the Council. He is the Chief. They call Chief Kofi. Sir, he speaks for all of the Chief of the Republic of Liberia. So Chief Kofi, and we come to welcome our brother. The men that are part of Liberia, we make you to believe that here we are not strangers. So, you please welcome him. Thank you.
Sinaja!
Yeah.
Sinaja!
Yeah.
Sinaja!
Yeah.
Sande Parao.
Amuya your mouth.
On behalf of the Chief and Elder Council of Liberia, Chief Zakawa and the Minister of Internal Affairs, my son, you are home now. You are coming to Liberia today. The chief then say, this cola is for you, that your cola. We make sure that you work with your people. You make sure that the Liberian people, they love you. Coming here, it will not be for nothing. You're coming from here to go back. May God bless you.
Amen.
Long life for you.
Amen.
The program today, you can't do that your good name will go. Traditionally, culturally, is the color. So, if you look in the thing, in the calabar, I think you know that our old people used to drink inside. That was the calabar our people used to drink. The rest in here today, you said no. Rest is life, is spiritual. There is the Koda now. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Roland, let me introduce myself to you. I should have done it, but I was so excited. I am the traditional queen of Liberia. My name is Julie Indy, the cultural ambassador of Liberia. These are my traditional people. This is the governor of the Governor Council. She's the president. This is the national coordinator of all chiefs and elders of Liberia. This is the speaker. These are all tribal governors. And then, of course, a Liberian working with me. And this is Mother Veronica Smith from the Christian community. We have come to honor you, and we want to salute you in the name of the Father, the Son, of the Holy Spirit. This is a fabric made in Liberia by Liberians, and we want to put statue on behalf of His Excellency Dr. George Manawia, President of the Republic of Liberia. We want you to feel at home. The Bicentennial 200 years, we are telling our story. So we want to start you first, like this. We want to give this to the chief, and the chief will start you again, and then we'll go together now, chief. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the blessed Holy Spirit. Then you will just stand, and the troop will just do one song for you, and then you take your rest.
All right.
You are welcome. You are welcome. Brother Martin, you are welcome. No, that is wrong. Brother Martin, you are welcome. You are welcome. Brother Martin, you are welcome. Brother Martin, you are welcome. You are welcome. Brother Martin, you are welcome. That is wrong. Brother Martin, you are welcome. You are welcome. Brother Martin, you are welcome.
Well, first of all, I'm glad to see everyone here. It was a little long ride, but it wasn't bad. This is my first time in Liberia, third time in Africa. I was last in Ghana in 2019 for the year of return. So I'm glad to be here with my crew. We're going to be documenting all of the events this week. We'll be live streaming it back to the United States, to the folks who watch us all across the world on our app, Black Star Network. And so really am excited. It's been interesting reading, learning about the history of this country, the indigenous people, also the people of African descent who came here 200 years ago. And so really interested in telling some great stories for people who are unfamiliar with Liberia. A lot of people did not know about its history. So we're really looking forward to it. And so we've got a lot of stuff we have planned. And so we want to try to shoot as many interviews as possible, show people the vibrant culture, folks looking good. Where did she go? That outfit, I like that outfit she got on. So I had a lot of outfits made when I was in Ghana. So I plan to have some made here in Liberia as well. So absolutely. So thank you so very much for being out here, and look forward to a great next 10 days.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know Roland Martin. If you know Roland Martin, you better stay still, right?
All right, Antoine, take the photo with the iPhone. All right, here we go. One more.
Okay.
Here we go. One more photo right here, right in the center. Here we go. Everybody look up and smile.
All right.
The main event of our trip to Liberia was the national celebration in the Samuel Doe Sports Stadium, where thousands attended the event called Liberia, the Land of Return. It commemorated the 200 years of the country being founded. So many people were there. You had a U.S. delegation that was there. Other leaders from African nations were there as well. And our Black Star Network crew, we live broadcast from the event as well. We are here broadcasting Liberia, the Land of Return, celebrating the 200th bicentennial celebration of the founding of this country. Many folks may not realize that Liberia was founded by a number of formerly enslaved people of African descent in the United States who traveled from the United States to come here, where the land was purchased to create this country. in 1822. So this celebration kicks off a year-long celebration here in the sports complex. So as you can see, we are working with KNet out of Ghana. They're handling the stream. We've got our Roland Martin Unfiltered Black Star Network cameras here as well. And so what you are seeing, again, is this live feed right now of what's happening here in Liberia. It is a festive moment here right now. It is 10:05. It's 10:05 here in Liberia. It's 10:05. It is absolutely, first of all, it rained this morning, but it's overcast. But trust me, when that sun breaks through, it's going to be rather warm here. And so that's what we anticipate. And so it is going to be rather a long program. It's going to be a number of things happening here. The feed that you're seeing them shooting, that's the presidential box. And so there are a number of VIP dignitaries from across the country who are here. And so what you see them there just a few moments ago, the American delegation arrived. I had the opportunity to see Lonnie Bunch, of course, the man who put together Lonnie Bunch, the man who put together the National Museum of African American History. He is now head of the Smithsonian Institution. And so Lonnie is, of course, part of this delegation, one of the most significant historians in the United States. And so I'm hopeful we'll have an opportunity to talk with him about this momentous day and occasion. I had an opportunity to catch up with a number of folks there, including Lonnie Bunch, who heads up all Smithsonian museums in the United States.
All right, Lonnie, first of all, let's talk about your historian. For people who don't understand, how important is Liberia, the history of America?
Liberia is one of the most important things to happen in this country. Because Liberia is really about whether or not Black people control their destiny. So there's fundamental interesting splits around Liberia. For some Black people, Liberia was a place to be. For others, it was white people saying Black free people should live in the country. So that split was always crucially important. But what I love is that each Liberia is a republic and recognizes it sends a message that Black people in the 19th century have a friend, have a place to go.
Well, that's the thing when we look at the history in this American colonization side. You had white slave owners who were like, oh my God, these free slaves are going to sit here and cause others to end slavery. Then you had the abolitionists. So you had these divergent interests who were part of the very same group.
But then you also had Black split the same way. Black abolitionists, because the American colonization society, not by races, there's no doubt about it, but there were some people who felt there would never be an opportunity for Blacks to progress in the United States. So some said Liberia is better than being a free Black in Philadelphia or New York. Others said America is the country they were born in, and they weren't going to let anybody chase them out, and many people have turned their back on the American colonization society. And that's why I would argue Liberia has always had an interesting history with Black Americans. On the one hand, it's fascinating, people are supportive of it, but on the other hand, people are saying, but it was created by telling us we weren't good enough for being American.
Well, then you have the fact that, so you get these free slaves that have to come here, American colonization society, buys the land. Then you have them setting up a system here, indigenous people already. So we often complain about Columbus and other folks. So in essence, they do the exact same thing.
In essence, we were Columbus.
Right.
Because what happened is that they came and replicated the system they did. Tried to keep Africans enslaved, tried to set up a system where Blacks from America were higher up in importance than Blacks everywhere else. So therefore, in some ways, what this is an example of is even people that have been discriminated against and really accept what the slave owners done to them. We tried to implement it.
So when I was in Ghana in 2008, 2019, what's interesting about that is that the conversation I had with the president was about inviting African American investment. But this is a different because they've had 200 years of African American influence has not necessarily been always good. So you have this battle between the people of African descent who are still here, indigenous people. So what should African American, what should the relationship be moving forward with that history?
Well, I think as the president said, the notion is that we've got to find this way to bridge the chasm. And I think that for American blacks who want to invest and come here, they've got to recognize that the challenge is to become Liberians. Become Liberian in the fullest sense. So therefore, regardless of tribe, regardless of whether you came from the United States, they would really accept the system they use. And that's the challenge.
Last question for you. In terms of this shared history, folks obviously focusing on the celebration itself. Other thing that you also had here, you had Liberia, far ahead many other African nations. Their boom Civil War hits. Now all of a sudden it sets back. So now it was so far ahead. Now all of a sudden they're having to, in essence, rebuild the infrastructure, education, all those different things that made them frankly different from many other African nations.
In many ways, because there had a connection with religious groups in the United States and with free blacks, and the fact that the Republican Party used Liberia as a place to give black diplomats out. And so therefore there was a sense that Liberia was a better place for them. And Liberia was ahead of so many countries, but the Civil War has really devastated the economy, devastated political trust. So in some ways, Americans who come here best notion that in essence what they're doing is saying we're starting from scratch.
Right. All right. All good to see you, my man. I appreciate it. You take care.
So am I gonna see you next time?
Oh, I'll see you in the States somewhere. I appreciate it. All right, good to see you.
I was surprised at one point when I was called to the main podium to receive a gift from the president of Liberia, George Weah.
This is a little warm. It's a little warm. Yeah. I'm trying to make me sweat more. All right, so folks, we're gonna go back downstairs. We're still broadcasting, so they recognize that there's special citizens here, special citizens. So I appreciate this as well. So we're gonna go back to work, broadcasting the rest of this. So let's go.
Events happening at the stadium were a great success, and the next day we traveled to City Hall for Monrovia Day, which is an annual celebration of the founding of the capital city of Liberia. And while there, I even got to participate in the program.
All right, so how we doing? Doing good? And it's hot too. So we're not gonna be here all day, but I'm from Houston, so this is not a big deal. Where's the Houston delegation? Y'all said there's a Houston delegation. Where's H-Town? All right, I'm just checking, all right. Let's see, before I talk, we're gonna do this here. Hold on one second. We need a selfie, so here we go. All right, so we're gonna do this side of the room right here, okay? Okay, hold on, we're gonna do this side of the room over here. Now smile, I got 3.5 million followers, smile. Okay, there we go, all right. All right, certainly glad to be here. This is my third visit to the continent, the first time here in Liberia, when I had your ministers on my show, Roland Martin Unfiltered, and also our network, Black Star Network, in, I think it was September. They said, we would love for you to visit. I said, well, we could do better than that. I'll actually come here and do my show. I said, because I own it, so I don't have to ask anybody. So we've actually been live streaming this event all day back to the United States. And we've also been, of course, you stream the event on Monday. And that's important because when you own, you can make those decisions. You don't have to ask anyone's permission. And it's also about telling our story. March 16, 1827, the nation's first Black newspaper was founded. It's called Freedom's Journal. In the third paragraph of Freedom's Journal, they wrote, "We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us." And the reality is, for African Americans and also people on this continent, unfortunately, other people have been speaking for us, telling our narrative, telling our story, and no one can better tell our story than us. And it should be told by folks who look like us, who sound like us, and it must be controlled and operated by us. And so what this also represents an opportunity for us to be able to not only share with what's happening here in Liberia, but there's so many African Americans today who have no understanding of the unique history when it comes to this country, and also people of African descent in the United States. Those who are from Virginia, those who are from Mississippi, the 12,000 or so who travel here in a 30-year period. And so the ability to be able to share with them the information is important, because if the next generation has no understanding, then you will not have any connection, if you will. And so it was great to hear my brother from Providence, Rhode Island, because I've been to Providence for the Jeffrey Osborne golf tournament. And whenever we come for the golf tournament, we actually double the Black population, because ain't that many brothers and sisters in Providence, Rhode Island. Yeah, you know I'm not lying. So when we come there for the golf tournament, Jeffrey's glad to see all the brothers and sisters come to town. But it really is about us being able to share and tell our story. I appreciate all the different remarks, but I'm also someone who believes in action and moving forward. It's interesting, as you were talking about being able to create sort of this historical markers and these landmarks. I was actually at the hotel today. I was at the monument. We were taking drone shots and doing things along those lines. And I was sharing with my brother, the minister here, was sharing with him about what can be done to be able to tell this story. And so I appreciate ideas, but I also appreciate money. So for me, so do understand the way I operate is I appreciate partnerships, but I always ask how much. And so you have been having conversations with the mayor. So what I want to know is how much to create that historical zone is going to cost. So then when we're back in Washington, D.C., and we're having conversations with members of the Congressional Black Caucus, Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senator Chuck Schumer, then we can ask how much to put in the budget, be allocated to actually pay for that. And so I will promise you this here, and then I'll take my seat. Before I leave on Tuesday, after I interview your president on Monday, I want to leave here with that number, because trust me, when anytime any of those cabinet members and when the president, the vice president comes on my show, I will be specifically asking them to allocate for that amount. So you just let me know how much. And that's what we call Black Power.
And during the Monrovia Day celebrations, we heard from the U.S. ambassador to Liberia, as well as Monrovia's mayor.
Good afternoon or good evening. May I just say hi to Americans who are watching this on TV, Americans in the diaspora, all American citizens in the audience. Show us your hands. Honorable Jefferson Koigi, members of the Monrovia City Council, mayors of other African cities present, members of the diplomatic corps, ladies and gentlemen. I am genuinely honored to have been invited to celebrate the 43rd edition of Monrovia Day with all of you today. I also want to pass along Ambassador Michael McCarthy's best wishes to all of you. I want to acknowledge you, Mayor Koigi, my friend, the City Council, and all the city employees who put in a lot of effort to organize this year's Monrovia Day. I say that because I know that Liberia, and Monrovia in particular, has been very busy organizing major events in January and February to commemorate the bicentennial of the arrival of the first Black Americans to this land. Each of these events has been a huge undertaking. And I want you to know how much the members of our presidential delegation from the United States who were here on Monday, as well as my embassy colleagues who call Monrovia home, appreciated your efforts. Thank you. Also, belated Valentine's Day to everybody. Everybody make a heart. The focus of my remarks today will be on the relationship between Monrovia and the United States. And I wanted to say a few words about history because we are in this bicentennial year. And then I'll talk about the present and the future. It seems to me that one obvious place to start is with the name Monrovia. When those first immigrants from the United States settled on this land, they decided to honor President James Monroe by naming their new city after him. After all, it was James Monroe who had supported the American Colonization Society's plans to resettle Black Americans in Africa, and he was also an ardent supporter of ending the transatlantic slave trade. Historians at the University of Mary Washington in Virginia have letters and contemporary newspapers written from Monrovia as early as May 1823. The American Colonization Society acknowledged Monroe's support at its February 20th, 1824 meeting when it passed a resolution naming the main town of the settlement Monrovia. Remember that date, February 20th, 1824. In fact, it was Robert Goodloe Harper who made the formal proposal of the names Monrovia and Liberia. Who was Robert Goodloe Harper, you ask? He was a former member of the United States Senate from Maryland, state of Maryland, my home, who was involved with the American Colonization Society. And just as Monrovia is named after President James Monroe, the town of Harper in Maryland County, right here in Liberia, is named after Robert Goodloe Harper. Just so you all know, Mayor Koigi and I talk a lot about history, all the time, night and day. And specifically the history of Monrovia. For this bicentennial year, we have talked about the potential for Monrovia to develop its tourism in a bid to attract international, and get this, Liberian tourists, internal tourism. He and I have discussed the idea of creating a historic quarter in downtown Monrovia, a tourist zone like the ones we have seen in other cities around the world. Picture street signs that would clearly designate the historic quarter and plaques that identify heritage sites. Just imagine a historic quarter that encompasses the three historic churches, Providence Baptist Church, First United Methodist Church, and First Presbyterian Church. Providence Baptist Church is where Liberia's Declaration of Independence was signed on July 26, 1847. The historic quarter would include Joseph Jenkins Roberts' executive mansion, that red brick structure on Ashman Street that houses the National Library today. Another landmark is the executive mansion that served as a Liberian president's quarters until the early 1960s. It's still sitting at the corner of Ashman and Randall Streets, along with the elephant statue. Let's not forget the National Museum that once housed the country's legislature. The Centennial Pavilion built in 1947, and President Tubman's tomb, all located in the same square block bordered by Ashman, Buchanan, Broad, and Center Streets. Speaking of Center Street, the venerable Palm Grove Cemetery, very likely in existence since the 1820s, is 4 blocks south from these sites. I think we can all agree that Palm Grove Cemetery deserves to be restored, protected, so that it can once again become a place for people to go to pay their respects to loved ones, and as with other historical cemeteries the world over, attract tourists and those who are passionate about history. Up on Ducor Hill stands the J.J. Roberts Monument, and with its fabulous bas-relief telling the story of Liberia's evolution. Up on the same hill, one can see the skeleton of the abandoned luxury Ducor Hotel that once attracted conventions and tourists from around the globe. An old lighthouse that once guided ships into the port of Monrovia, and the remains of Fort Norris, Liberia's first defense of Monrovia in the 19th century, all those atop Ducor Hill. Also not too far away from the historic downtown, in the middle of the Mesurado River, is Providence Island, where those first American immigrants set foot on January 7th, 1822. For me to say any more about historic sites would require more time than we have here today. But I would be remiss if I did not mention that in Logantown, on Bushrod Island, it is possible to see the tomb of Zoludoma, also known as King Peter, ruler of the Day ethnic group, and another important figure, historical figure, when we talk about events in Liberia 200 years ago. You can see that today. The point I'm really trying to make here is that Monrovia has huge potential as a tourist destination. And the older generations in the audience know just how attractive Monrovia was when they were children and young adults, yes? So what about the present and the future of the city? We can all go out and catalog the challenges of a city built for a few thousand that is now trying to serve the needs of more than 1.5 million. We have all endured the traffic congestion, noted the infrastructure deficiencies, grumbled about the litter, unsanitary conditions, and dilapidated buildings. We've all empathized with those who live with chronic unemployment, drug addiction, poverty, and despair. But is that all we're going to do? Complain? No, of course not. You know what we should do? As international donors, I'm thinking of my diplomatic colleagues here, and your partners who care about the city. We care about the city and its population. We should join forces. Many of us come from countries and have visited countries with vast experience in breathing new life into dying and decaying neighborhoods and cities. We know that these are sometimes massive undertakings, but they are both possible and necessary undertakings. Amen? All right. Such efforts to rehabilitate a city, select neighborhoods in that city, or streets require financial resources, legal mechanisms, and crucially, ethical and responsible governance. But initially, they require political will and a vision. Every mayor I have ever met, and I've met a lot in my work as a diplomat in different parts of the world and back in the United States, has had a vision. And you have a vision, I know. And every mayor I've known has had to overcome all sorts of obstacles to achieve that vision. Monrovia and Mayor Jefferson Koigi, you are no different. You, Monrovia's leaders, know the issues confronting your city better than anyone else. You drive the streets. You walk the neighborhoods. You sit down in coffee shops and take the pulse of the capital. You hear the citizens' complaints. But let's be fair. There is much good about Monrovia, yes? As donors, as partners, we generally try our best to align our strategic priorities with those of the Liberian government. And speaking for the United States, I am proud to say that my USAID colleagues have been in multiple discussions with Monrovia City officials to align some of our priorities with yours. Together, the Monrovia City Council and USAID are exploring urban youth activities, government decentralization and agribusiness project designs, and water, sanitation, and hygiene trainings, to name a few of the areas. Roll up your sleeves, folks. It's coming. That's what it's going to take. We can identify challenges together and, where possible, identify the resources that will be needed to overcome the challenges. To do this, we should mobilize a broad coalition of stakeholders as possible. Community groups, the private sector, international donors, Liberians in the diaspora, Monrovia's sister cities like Dayton, Ohio, and the Liberian and Monrovia governments, of course. I understand there is another sister city relationship in the works with Salisbury, North Carolina, home to Livingston College. It gives 2 scholarships to Liberian students every 4 years. I know this all sounds like it's going to need some serious collaboration and coordination. Well, here again, the city and its various partners can step up and decide who can do what, right? Honorable Mayor, I'm sure that you have heard the phrase scarce resources more times than you care to think, to admit. But I assure you, there is no scarcity of ideas. No scarcity of ideas for how to make Monrovia stronger than it has ever been. What we all need to do is put all our good ideas on the table, make sure they are married with your vision, make sure they align with our respective strategic priorities, and then work creatively to identify those resources that will be needed to implement the vision. But let us not forget the old adage, Rome was not built in a day. What we'll need is patience, and we'll all need to remain optimistic. Let me close with a quote from Nina Simone, an African-American singer, songwriter, and civil rights activist who lived in Liberia from 1974 to 1977. She said, "Liberians are naturally affectionate, open people, proud of their country, and the fact that a famous Black American had decided to come home, which was what they called it, to stay, meant something special to them." Ms. Simone describes the feeling like this: "I wouldn't have believed it before I arrived, but Liberia did feel like home, and I loved everything about it." Thank you again for inviting me.
Thank you so kindly. We want to bless God at this point in time. And I think one thing very unique to all mayors is the relationship between you and your council. And after you struggled last year, I think Yvonne was here, and she has an insight about our struggle. And she was asking me why they didn't come on time. And I said, look, there's a relationship between the council and the mayor office. So if you struggle to get a quorum, and one of them say, I want to give a motion before I second it, you keep thinking, whether it would be possible for me to give my message. But thankfully, we were able to allow a quorum of this council, and I hope next time we can have the full bench of the council. By that time, they will be in alignment, and who agree with our leadership and our vision for this wonderful and beautiful city. I want to begin by saying thank you. This is the state that the council have mandated me to give you a full package. Let me prepare you as we begin this flight. The mayor is just a servant prepared to drive you through. I ask you to fasten your belt. And before I get through, I'd like to mention something very quickly. Freetown and Monrovia. Interestingly, on the 16th of this day that we are here, my distinguished sister, Arkansas, her beloved sister birthday is today. Can you please clap for her? Judy Morgan. Judy, can you stand up? I see you. Judy is the bridge to this relationship. Thank you, Judy. You can sit down. But that's not all. Our First Lady, Her Excellency Ambassador Mary Duncan Cloud Weir, her birthday is March 11. And we will be celebrating it in Sierra Leone. Can you imagine? You see the uniqueness there? And that's the time Yvonne said we should be there. So you see how difficult it is, but nevertheless. Thank you so much. Honorable members of the Monrovia City Council, officials of government of Liberia, local government officials, Mr. Keynote Speaker, Nathan Darby Beer, member of the host, representative of District 3, Rhode Island, U.S. Congress, Ambassador Joel Merritt, Deputy Chief of Mission, U.S. Embassy, a dear friend of mine, retired Judge Bill C. Littlejohn, visiting delegation to Monrovia, Houston, Texas. Her Excellency Elizabeth Nana Tawa Saki, Mayor of Accra. Her Excellency, Worship Yvonne Akisaya, Mayor of Freetown, my dear sister. His Excellency, Mayor Ben Soda, the first younger mayor of the Candice Municipality City, the Gambia, Representative Naquita Ricks, members of the Colorado House of Representatives. Honorable Karen Alexander, Mayor of Salisbury, North Carolina. We want to mention her as we speak to you. They are following us by the way of the internet. She and her entire council. We think we are very honored and we are privileged to have her during that. She said because of some unforeseen circumstances, they could not have made it to be here, but they have dedicated to follow us through by the means of technology. Honorable Riva Bellard, Mayor of Hoboken, City of New Jersey, he also fallen. Members and diplomatic and councilor co-peer person, our international development partners, the National Council, Traditional Chief and Elder Chief Zanzankawa, our political and religious and business leaders here present, National Civil Society, the women of Liberia, the disabled community, the youth and student community, the Liberian Children Parliament, the Liberian National Student Union, the Federation of Liberian Youth, the Liberian-based Marketing Association, the taxi driver, the pen, and the keke operators, members of our distinguished press, staff and members of the Monrovia City Government, citizens and residents of Monrovia, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. In fulfillment of our statutory mandate and consistent with City Ordinance Number 4, I wish to submit to you through the Honorable Monrovia City Council and on this historic day of great city, the 21st report on the state of the city, including progress made and problem encountered during the 21st and the program for the 2022. I'm further mandated to present to you the all-over economic condition of our city, which should cover both expenditures and income with significant operating, financing, and investing activities of the city for the period under review. The Honorable City Council, citizens, residents of Monrovia, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, with deep sense of mourning and painful regret, I have the responsibility to share with you information of a major stampede at a prayer crusade that occurred in our city in the municipal borough of New Kutan on Bourgeois Island on the night of January 19, 2022, in which 16 females, including one pregnant woman, 2 males, 11 children, totaling 29 people died and severe other injury. Before the mournful stampede, the city government of Monrovia was in and is still in the state of mourn. The year's summation regarding our activity marked by the quarter of heavy heart resulting from the loss of life at the hands of a brief protracted illnesses and motor accident, which witnessed the departure of some of our industrial staff of the Monrovia city government, namely Mr. Vara M. Roland, city economist, a director for economic policy management, mastered the ceremony of the 21st Monrovia Day program. Mr. Mustafa Fars, an astute servant of the mayor's security details. Mr. Samuel Ado, patrolman, Monrovia City Police. Mr. Jackson Kasha Liberia, a solid waste management department. Please rise on your feet with me for a moment of silence in remembrance and honor as a mark of respect for this irreparable loss that leaves behind so much undue sorrow for the city and the families of those who lost their life in a tragic stampede at the prayer crusade and illnesses. We share the unbearable pains and pray for God forgiveness, acceptance of their soul. Peace be to their ashes. Thank you. You can have a seat. The Honorable City Council, citizens and residents of Monrovia, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as we have clocked another 365 days, mark the 43rd day, I am grateful to the Almighty God for enabling us in the last 12 months to stir the affairs of this great city. I want to remind you, fellow Monrovians, residents, local and extended partners, foreign guests, that even if there were no law that bound us to these moral responsibilities, we who have still strived for the effective medium through which we could report to you on how the city is being managed from time to time, especially born out of a genuine commitment to openness and accountability in our local governance and charge we have to keep. Budget and financial management. The combined fiscal 2020 and 2021 budget and a special budget for 2021. Interestingly, I have the Deputy Minister seated right here. So for Ministry of Finance. And the internal budget of the city comprises of internal revenues, only total 3 million compensation of employees, accounted for 48.8%, goods and services, 11.4%, non-financial assets under the public sector investment project, the PSRP, 21.07%. On the external side and the internal revenue, 18.7% for the period. Expenditure rose about 3% over combined revenue, thus leaving us with a deficit of 250,000, arising from goods and services taken on account, which were carried forward to the fiscal year 2022. Our cumulative debt is put at 1.1 million and total receivable in the amount of 512,000. While the fiscal upload of the city may not appear attractive, owing to the mitigating effect of COVID-19 and the lack of adequate logistics and equipment and the need to build a staff capacity to improve service delivery, We wish to extend appreciation to the solid waste management and the environmental health and safety department for their improved performances, generating lawful revenue above target for 2021. Moving forward, the automation as part of our ongoing municipal reform, we introduced a smart system of accounting software for those responsible for the financial management in the city government to be trained for more efficient and planning, making informed financial and economics analysis. The timely and accurate reporting, we open to acquiring more user-friendly software and appropriate training in order to enhance management of local resources at the city government. The Honorable City Council, citizens and residents of Monrovia, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, like previous years since I assumed my office of Monrovia, getting needed resources for effective solid waste management within the city still a huge confrontation. As we speak, no donor or external partner is funding the recurring cost of solid waste collection and disposal. Our meager internal revenues is very inadequate to fund this cost-intensive venture. The wrong mindset of a very large segment of our people has worsened the situation that they believe solid waste management within the city is a government business and not their aimed intensive awareness and sensitization to disabuse their minds. Before 2018, the year that I took over as mayor, the World Bank has spent over 29.4 million in total from additional financing, the AF1, AF2, and AF3, through the Liberian Reconstruction Trust Fund, the LTRF, for 6 years of emergency Monrovia urban sanitation, called the EMOS project, with the annual contribution of US 4.9 million. That was before I came here, so let's follow ourselves. $4.9 million to the solid waste management sector of the city. Additionally, the Bill Gates and Melinda Gates Foundation funded the primary waste door-to-door collection in an amount of $1 million for more than 5 years through the Impact Project, with City Alliance as implementing partner plus subsidy from government of Liberia. Before I arrive, that is what this city was benefiting before my arrival. So every year, there was a donor funding from Bill Gates and Melinda Gates, $1 million every year for door-to-door waste. The story is different from now. Follow me, let's go through. Today, the solid waste collection disposal is squarely a burden for the city government of Monrovia. In the absence of a sustainable plan and capital investment within the sector, the city has always relied largely on the government of Liberia for subsidy and the GAL World Bank counterpart funding to a solid waste collection and disposal. The total contribution received from the central government for solid waste collection and disposal within the city amounted to 1.1 million as opposed to the more than 5.2 million received annually from donors in years prior to my administration as mayor. $5.2 million received annually before my arrival here. The Ministry of Finance and Development and Planning for making series of intervention, subsidy for solid waste collection and disposal in the midst of hardly competing priority. We also very thankful and we remain grateful to His Excellency, Dr. George Manabuya, for his pronouncement made in his 2022 annual message to the 54th legislature in section that 50% of real property tax collected within a given city or municipality will go to the city municipality. While we work with Liberia Revenue Authority to actualize this all-important decision, we hereby commit in advance to spending our portion of that amount that will be received on the integrated solid waste management and a youth development within our city. Progress made. The Honorable City Council, citizen and resident of Monrovia, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, during the course of the reporting period, our city weathered some of the tempestuous storm nearly strained sources in many regards, but our resolve as one people through the spirit of inclusiveness and broader participation, we succeeded irrespective of the Herculean tax. Thanks to the resilient workforce of the city government of Monrovia that went at every length, working extra hours to ensure clean, green, and safe city, honoring our core values of integrity, discipline, and unity. Putting our city and country first, the committed and diligent workforce of the city government of Monrovia, specifically our solid waste management department, we collected 104,997.54 tons of waste over the period of March to December 2021, as compared to 60,156.96 tons in 2020, which represent 42.7% increase in solid waste collection from the previous years of the overwhelming conditions. As part of tackling the perennial problem that are associated with increased waste, solid waste collection and disposal through a more inclusive and a participatory approach, I constituted a 14-member citizen engagement board, the CEB, which comprised eminent Liberians from all spheres of our society to join the ongoing effort in preparing the city for celebration of the country's 200 years of existence. Honor the theme, Liberia, the land of return, commemorating 200 years of freedom and Pan-African leadership. May I extend appreciation once again on behalf of the city government of Monrovia to Madam Mary T. Broer, Director General of the General Service Agency, for having accepted to chair the CEB and corps of Liberian professionals, religious leaders, youth and student leaders for their services rendered. The mandate of the Citizen Engagement Board ended on January 7, 2022, leaving the city government of Monrovia with policy action to adapt towards citizen engagement, including awareness, strengthening, and a set of advice on appropriate action to take on sanitation for a sustainable reality. Lastly, the CEB conducted extensive field exercise in a local community to sensitize residents on responsible action to proceed sanitation ahead of Liberia Bicentennial celebration. Monrovians, and we are all Liberians, despite of our different political persuasion, religious, and social backgrounds. I believe it is high time we stop allowing politics to distract us from our obligation as good citizens and residents. I want to emphatically state that the establishment of the citizen engagement goal was in no way intended to relinquish our duty to a particular person or group whatsoever. I am on an unwavering mission to make a case for a larger segment of the Liberian population that I represent, which can be trusted and who endeavor to do well at any given opportunity. As a united city government and a people, there should be no room for excuses, but to work together in finding innovative solutions to the myriad of municipal challenges our great city is faced with. That Honorable City Council, citizens and residents of Monrovia, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the city government of Monrovia took a bold step to broaden our policy framework of leaving no one behind in the process of organizing a 4-day solid waste management forum, with which brought together more than 160 community-based enterprises, the CBE, and a small medium enterprise, the SME, based on their pivotal role in efficient solid waste management to the household level. At this junction, I am pleased to report to you on the slow of other achievement during the period. We organized 3-day multi-stakeholder solid waste management conference with community leaders, businesses, community, and external development partners, including the United Nations, the World Bank, the European Union, and the City Alliance. And interestingly, my good friend here, the European ambassador, it was that occasion he made his statement. So we organized our program to entertain inclusiveness. Yeah. Okay, you see, thank you, my good friend, thank you. We initiated a regular cleaning of the waterways and drainages in Suniwen, Douala, and other areas in support of containing environmental hazard, and did the same as a Freeport drainage in the light of dedication of completion of a Japanese freeway. We coordinated the official launch of the PHP Community Recreation Center with support from the UAE government. To meet the Bloomberg and the Rockefeller target, we continue with a planting of over 10,000 trees capping from Freetown. Is it Freetown? What, the tree of Freetown? Okay, Freetown, the tree town. Fighting with the vision of planting more trees in succeeding years. The process of accreditation of fumigation companies within the city was commenced. The backfill of depressed solid waste collection points within the city was done, and we have developed a mechanism to reduce the numbers of collection points. Market women, store owners, youth, and student dwellers in the Red market area were appropriately engaged, encouraged them to effectuate the relocation to Ominga market as part of our implementing and the presidential mandate on market maintenance. Today, more than 60 out of 400 acres of land squared, with the rest going through the legal process to be retrieved due to illegal purchase, and government of Liberia completed extra full market shelter at the Ominga, 3 more on the way to accommodate additional markets. More appropriately, the Special Presidential Committee has processed and granted deed for those who are rebuilding their own structures. Strategies and efforts on sustainability for medium and long term investment in recycling and waste to engage got underway. And we remain open to working on a result-focused public-private partnership, the PPP, in order to achieve this milestone. We facilitate training in the short code sustainable integrated municipal solid waste management for 15 senior management of the city government through our partnership from a regional water, environmental, and sanitation center in Kumasi, Ghana, under the auspices of Kwame Nkrumah University Science of Technology of Ghana. Thank you. Thanks to the Pan-African professor, municipal development and sanitation specialist, Dr. Awa and Dr. Samson Katin, head of the Department of Civil Engineering and Director of Regional Water and Environmental Sanitation Center for the facilitating the codes. There is a growth chain that is expected from this course because the already trained senior managers will have to train staff on the supervision of completing knowledge transfer. The city government provided local scholarship to 21 beneficiaries, including employees and community youth at the AME University, with plans to extend to other universities within the country with need increase that numbers in 22 is succeeding year. The city government of Monrovia facilitated a foreign scholarship for 6 staff of the city government in project management, international relations, and development studies in Kigali, Kampala, Uganda, and Cyprus, a master in water sanitation and solid waste management in Ghana. With the urgent need to boost the economy, we established an economic policy management, the EPM unit to derive policy formulation and strengthening our domestic resource mobilization strategy and establishing friendly municipal economic zone for businesses. Through the EPM unit, we were able to strengthen revenue enforcement by providing them an insight in tax administration and revenue forecasting and advertisement. The services to all businesses on site and set the tone for the review of tariff and municipal tax schedule for 2021, a comprehensive review of all the city ordinances and other regulatory framework by our legal team was approved by me to meet current reality for onward submission to the City Council for consideration and onward submission to the National Legislature where applicable. During the period under review, the Youth Affairs Unit and Development Unit organized the National Spelling Bee competition in collaboration with Yadi Initiative with a student Ali D. Masali of the B.W. Harris Episcopal High School as the winner. And we facilitated the Sexual Health Symposium with the Association for the International Exchange of Students in Economics and Commerce, coordinated the National High School Press Club exhibition with Youth Media Action for the purpose of scouting out potential of young and aspiring to journalists and communication officers. We look forward to getting the winner of this year's Monrovia Community Quizzing Tournament under the SPC of the Monrovia City Government. During this tournament, as usual, we identified the best players in the category of mathematics, language arts, general science, and social studies. They are incorporated into our Monrovia Scholar Fellowship Program, our Cohort 2, with the objective of joining our Cohort 1 Scholar to serve as ambassador to promote Goal 4 of the SDGs, to provide peer mentorship and tutorial for candidates of the WACS, of the West African Senior Secondary Certificate Examination, WACS. The city government was delighted over welcoming our new scholars to the Monrovia Scholars. We look forward to working with them in developing the next batch of scholars for our city. We completed the construction of over 2,500 mentor tables in Waterside Market in support of better organized and market environment. On our continuous efforts to create jobs, particularly for young people, we are pleased to inform you that we provided permanent jobs. We provided 400 permanent jobs to young people, including supervisors, inspectors, and talent agents in the Monrovia City Parking Service. Our city being a city of diversity, we continue to hold our annual Easter and Ramadan celebration to support and promote religious tolerance and peaceful coexistence. The Honorable City Council, citizens and residents of Monrovia, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my quest to source the right opportunity for our city remains unquestionable and need to explore international and bilateral cooperation with sisterly cities remain compelling. With the officer, I reached out and initiated discussion with cities in the United States, Liberia, and in the state of Maryland, North Carolina, Houston, and the state of Texas to establish sister cities relationship. I'm glad to report that Liberia Council has approved a consummation of this relationship. Can you please clap for Liberia? Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Thank you. Honorable Mayor, you have my distinguished honor at this point in time. This approval through a joint resolution means that Monrovia will benefit from the sharing of information related to economic development, cultural exchange, education advancement, and the enforcement of sanitation trade, human capacity building, and technology. I want to appreciate my counterpart, Mayor Karen Alexander, for making this important milestone possible. Liberian Ambassador to the U.S., Ambassador George S.W. Patton Sr., was very instrumental in this regard. Discussion with the city of Houston was well advanced. We were glad to receive a high-level delegation in 2021 on an assessment visit to conclude a bilateral agreement that will see both cities establishing a relationship. For the city of Fargo, North Dakota, the acknowledged receipt of our proposal for sister city relationship is on review for consideration. Engagement in Washington, D.C. and New York are continuing for a sister city relationship. We reciprocated the visitation by her worship, Yvonne Akisaya, Mayor of Freetown, when she served as keynote speaker for the last Monrovia Day celebration in 2021. And I led the city of Monrovia delegation to Freetown, Severlon, for the launch of a city champion for heat action in Africa, organized the Rockefeller Foundation Resilience Center. I share the view with glaring evidence around our city that the city government of Monrovia is working to replicate similar feat in Liberia. It is fact that our city is hot with an average of daily high temperature of over 87 degrees Fahrenheit. According to the Weather Spark report, during our trip to Freetown, our delegation learned unique challenges from the Transform Freetown agenda, while at the same time share with our Freetown counterparts and experiences, challenges in Monrovia, and how we can tap into each other's agenda to foster a municipal cooperation and development in our two unique cities. I'm excited to report that the city of Monrovia have joined the Mayor Dialogue, a city-led initiative that will deliver innovative and practical solutions for human mobility in Africa, and a European city with an aim to improve life in urban areas. I feel fulfilled that my dear and distinguished sister and colleague of the city of Freetown, Mayor Yvonne Akisoya, is leading this along with the Mayor of Milan. As a member of the Global Parliament of Mayors, I was reappointed to the Executive Committee of Global Parliament of Mayors for another 4 years. While tailoring with addressing the challenges confronting our city and reaching out to other sister cities, the Hollywood African Prestige Award, HAPAD Award, has been following these efforts most, especially our fight against COVID-19, and therefore presented me the African Leadership Award as a winner. As part of our mandate to help ensure public safety and maintaining peace, we trained and recruited approximately 500 young men and women and skilled young people to foster community service policing with a local resources mounted to existing force. Additionally, our community service department took the lead on resolving community leadership dispute with District Number 7 and District Number 8 are part of strengthening local governance and community harmony. Sport. The Mayor's Cup was launched. It is a tournament meant to inspire youth of the city of Monrovia, thus providing them the special space and the opportunity to showcase their on-top talents with a full participation of local communities, township, and borough. The Mayor's Cup is also built on a premise of keeping the city of Monrovia clean, green, and safe through sport, particularly football, with an involvement of young athletes and vulnerable youth who are striving for better education, feeling inclusive in our engagement, encouraging and strengthening awareness on the wrong mindset and practices of some of residents of Monrovia, business community, and improving the sanitary condition within the city. We participated in the 2021 and 2022 Liberia Marathon Race Series on a 10-kilometer run walk. It was heartily welcoming with the participation of the women and physical challenged people. Now, the biggest gain in sport, on our stewardship. The Elephant of Monrovia won the 2021 Inter-Ministerial Agency League, Dope Ministerial League, after beating Ministry of State. No, the president wasn't on the field at that time. Let me issue the disclaimer. Monty, I want to issue a disclaimer to you. The time we won, the president wasn't on the field at that time. Problem encounter. Honorable City Council, city residents of Monrovia, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we want to acknowledge the mountain of challenges the battlefield on during the course of the year, most especially with solid waste management remaining our greatest challenge in the absence of capital investment through value change for municipal growth and development. The continued growth in the population as a result of rural-urban migration and immigration has demanded a need for a shape of a city status. Our once beautiful city that was initially designed for approximately 300 residents has now become a host to about 2 million residents, which has created an overcrowdedness, leading to all of the problem brought on our congestion, such as a lack of adequate housing, sanitation, and health education facility, among others. Was the wrong mindset that urban management and development is a government business and not a citizen remain daunting. However, we continue to find solutions for our existing challenges, and with a collective report from such fellow Moravians and international partners, and a government of Liberia, we shall triumph over a renewed vigor of making our city great again. Yeah. The lack of adequate logistics and equipment to enhance the capacity of Monrovia City Police are helped to ensure public safety, coupled with the need for fire truck, ambulances, and utility vehicles are still a daunting challenge. The challenges is a measure of sources and to consolidate our gains of the years under review. We must reorganize where we went low, either resources constrained and the lack of support from all of you fellow Moravians. We must all tackle these challenges together and make our city a place to be where we can rekindle our heritage for urban resilience. Moravia feature, the Honorable City Council, citizens and residents of Moravia, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as the city of Moravia remains the melting point for economic activities in our country, we reorganize the exigencies of tackling these problems, ranging from access to electricity, safe drinking water, sanitation and hygiene, urban mobility, traffic light support, and marketer including street vendor, youth development, and security at large. About a week from now, the city government of Moravia will be holding its senior management team retreat in the port city of Buchanan, with the task of formulating a new strategy plan for the city covering 2022 to 2026 for the purpose of developing and designing a roadmap with a strategic objective, a medium and a long-term goal as to where we want to see Moravia in the next 5 years to come. The new strategic plan will be upgraded by deliverables that address the issues of institutional capacity building to boost service delivery and transform Moravia to its scalable will that puts us on the path of a metropolitan city with resilience, smartness, boldness, which will create jobs, secure livelihood, improve infrastructure, and manage local resources more appropriately. We have endeavored to devote our vision from 2022 on the theme, rekindling our heritage for urban resilience. And we shall seek to foster relationship with our traditional people, religious people, professors of history, to vividly give the picture of our heritage as a people and a nation, as a country observing 200 years of existence. We will work with Ministry of Internal Affairs, the Government Commission, the National Legislature, and the local government structure to finally present our city chapter and ordinances this year to a relevant authority which will empower us to expand our current capacity in line with upholding avoiding demands of judicial challenges between Monrovia and other local government structures. Moving forward, at Automation, we pause to acquire a user-friendly computer system with a software that will be served, enable us for improved accountability, transparency, and productivity for the municipal growth. We shall work our partner, including the U.S. Embassy and other embassies near our capital, to preserve most of our historic site objective and act in order to boost our tourism sector. The city government should this year work with the Liberian National Police and other state security apparatus to robustly enforce the execution of the law and help in the fight against heinous crime, including the gender-based violence, rape, and armed robbery, human trafficking, and money laundering. But this also, we all will have to work together to develop a framework with policy action that will address with appealing condition of our disadvantaged youth within the city. In order to meet global standard, we will ensure that the size of Monrovia City Police is at least 1% of a population of the city, and the entire workforce as 5% of the city total population, but a strategic objective and a medium to long-term goal in its support of urban resilience. We shall work collectively with the Liberian Marketing Association to design some sustainable strategy to collecting and disposing of waste from various markets in the city, with the help of vibrant private sector institutions, including small, medium enterprises, the SME, and the community-based enterprises, the CBE. We shall endeavor to widen and strengthen our tax base for increased revenue generation as a means of improving the existing one that's shifting from traditional sources of revenue to municipal and solid waste tax for urban sustainability. The Clause Project. The Honorable City Council, citizens and residents of Monrovia, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Cheeseman Brand Land Urban Sanitation Clause Project, with which happened to be the only substantial donor-funded project at the city government of Monrovia, is funded through the World Bank. I think European Union were concerned. You are reflected in the speech. The World Bank, the project became effective in 2017 and has reverse closing date of June 30, 2023. After restructuring, the project is managed by the Project Implementing Unit, the PRU, set out at the Monrovia City Corporation. The Clause Project is a firm in three components of deliverables, namely the construction of the sanitary landfill in Chismambury and a partial closure of the Wemtown landfill, support to solid waste collection and disposal activities in urban areas of Monserrado, and an institutional capacity strengthening. The Clause Project is headed by the project coordinator, supported by the steering committee, chaired by the Ministry of Public Works, and co-chaired by the Ministry of Finance, with the Environmental Protection Agency, the MCC and the PCC, serving as member on the committee. The project coordinator, of course, is a secretary to the committee. With funding from the Liberian Reconstruction Trust Fund, the LRTF, and the amount of 16.5 million and 3.3 million from Global Partnership, which total of 19.8 million, the Clause Project has made tremendous strides in solid waste collections and disposal, with the use of an independent audit wage bill and has secured a consultancy contract that derive the project components. As part of the community safeguard, the project conducts regular groundwater testing and monitoring at Winton landfill at the new site for the Chismabra landfill in order to prevent and mitigate environmental pollution of groundwater within those local communities. Technical work and being finalized to begin construction of a new sanitary landfill at Chismabra before June this year. Partial closure of Winton landfill has commenced within fencing around the West Valley completed. The feature of close project is angle on a new sanitary landfill in Chismabra, which will host waste from 4 other communities: Mangibi, Bomi, Bassa, and Grand Kitman, apart from Motherland. Now, a landfill, while I brought something for, so it's a very, very, very great initiative. We want to commend the European Union and our partner for World Bank. They said they don't have a modernized landfill, so we're working with Claus Project to help us achieve that under our leadership. This will help sustain eco-friendly sanitary landfill. The Honorable City Council, citizen and resident of Monrovia, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to inform you that Monrovia will host the 2023 Summit of the Global Parliament of Mayors GPM. This impressive gain made to secure the holding of the GPM Summit will hugely boost the municipal cooperation and development agenda and bring us in contact with developed cities more closely, as we will have the opportunity to showcase the exchange and cultural education and tourism prospects. As a major local government actor, I crave the decentralization for local autonomy. I want the position of mayor and all other local government positions to be elected positions. I will champion the drafting. I will champion the drafting of a local instrument to be submitted to the national legislature and follow up on the enactment of a decentralization law to realize the all-important development goal within the city and country. Decentralization within the election of mayor and other local officials will serve as a catalyst for a municipal development through the absolute development of authority to local government. Further, I will champion the formation of a sustainable integrated study with management policy as the next exists known in our city and country. I would like to go over this again, and I need your support, Monrovians, so that we can achieve this. If we are serious in changing this country, we must demonstrate that through policy formulation. We must demonstrate that through commitment. So let me say to you, for us to help, I will champion the formulation of a sustainable integrated solid waste management policy, as there is none existing in our city and this country. We shall work with the Liberian Marketing Association to design a sustainable strategy to collecting and disposing of waste from market in and around our city. Will remain one of our fundamental challenge in waste management in the city of Monrovia, Marketing Association. So this time around, we going to work with them. We will launch the Smart City System app in fulfillment of our vision for a smart city. An app that will afford residents of the city an opportunity to report real-time crime, emergency, and many other features. We are looking forward to working with our partner in modern tax payment system to a digital platform through the eWallet app. There is an app developed 100% by Liberian and owned by Liberian. We as a city want to begin the process to digitalize our tax payment and beginning to use the app called eWallet. The partners are here. We're trying to work with them. Very soon we'll be launching the eWallet apps. We shall work with our partner, including the U.S. Embassy, near our capital city, to preserving most of our historic site, objects, and act. Finally, I would like to extend thanks and appreciation to Dr. George Manawia, President of the Republic of Liberia, for appointing me to serve as co-chair for the Special Presidential Committee on Market Maintenance and as co-chair on the City Beautification Committee and Hospitality Committee for Liberia Bicentennial celebration. Again, I would like to thank the President for his continued support to initiative of the city government, especially during crucial period of needs for unhindered implementation of our programs and projects. We acknowledge with appreciation to contributions of international and external partners, including the World Bank, the EU, the United Nations, the Cities Alliance, Carter Center, embassies of all great United States of America, embassies of Sweden, and all embassies near Monrovia, as we rekindling the city heritage for urban resilience. We remain focused, ever determined to lead this city to its prosperous and noble heights. We know that we cannot do this alone by ourselves, but with the sense of inclusiveness and the ideas of leaving no one behind, we keep on model that this is worth adopting an example to emulate. Thank you so much.
So, folks, we are here in Monrovia, Liberia, and where we're standing right now is this massive monument to the first president of Liberia. It's Joseph Jenkins Roberts. You see this statue, you see this just amazing display here, and it shows you two things. It shows you the history, if you will. It shows paying homage to the past, but it also gives you a glimpse of what this place used to be. So we're standing right here and above this space here. And if you look out around here, you'll see as this high point overlooking all of Monrovia. You see this amazing edifice. You got the ocean that's to the right over here. Again, gorgeous views. Then, of course, when you look over here, is what was called the Ducor Hotel. And so what is essentially now ruins sits there right there as well. This is all greatly impacted. That hotel was destroyed by the Civil War that was in 1989. Remember, there was a coup in 1980, Civil War 1989, lasted 15 years. And so I've talked about this a lot what this country used to be. In many ways, Liberia was the model for African nations. It was the first republic on the continent as well. Ghana became, so when people talk about Ghana becoming the first African nation gaining its independence in 1957, that's not necessarily true in terms of that was colonized by non-whites. So Liberia was long before that its own republic, served as the model, if you will. If you think about where the country was in terms of its infrastructure, in terms of its roads, in terms of education, all of that was in many ways not destroyed, but was significantly hindered by the 15 years of civil war. That's an entire generation. And so now what you have is an effort to restore. Any other place, if you talk about the United States, any other place, I mean, any other place, this area right now, where would it be? Would be the focus of massive development. Because literally, because a statue like this here, because of the location of a hotel like this here. And so, in fact, what's interesting about that sign is the Ducor Hotel, it says, the future starts now. But you see the old sign as well. And so there's so much to think about in terms of the effort to restore this country, to rebuild this country, and to actually make it a crown jewel again. And so it really is amazing to be up here, to see these cannon display, these cannons that are here as well. And I can only imagine what this place, what this spot here looked like 30 years ago. What it looked like before the Civil War. It had to be absolutely magnificent because that hotel, and also this building that's right here as well. And again, as you can see, overlooking all of the city from this high vantage point as well. We didn't want our trip to Liberia to be all about politics. I also wanted to learn about the history of this country, from the founders to even the National Museum, to get a better understanding of this country founded by freed people of African descent 201 years ago. All right, let's go to the museum.
It's primarily cultural, and it's an exhibition called Ways of Time. And Ways of Time takes you through Liberia's history, which is on the second floor. Mm-hmm. The entire bottom floor represents all of the different politics, our cultures, our music, our dance, a lot of masks. Liberia, you have all of the different tribes are represented with masks. Mm-hmm. And these masks all have different representations.
So that's why all this over here
pretty much are your basic, indigenous culture. This all represents our indigenous culture. Uh-huh. So, for example, most of our huts, we use a lot of natural materials. Mm-hmm. So this represents some of that, to showcase, that we do use our natural material. This is, what is it called, papa? But it's a form of thatch. This thing is like zinc on top of your house. And then you have like the, slippers, pretty much what people wore back in the day before we started wearing what we have now. This is a game called Motherland that people also, so it's like a board game. So like this morning at Julie Envy's Crusaders for Peace ceremony where you were named, you saw the masquerade dancer. Mm-hmm. All right, so these masks represent some of that. And so what you saw this morning is a representation of one of our cultures. And so this is from the Don tribe. But all of these tribes are pretty much represented by masks. And these masks, the ones that they have at the museum, are all antiques. I mean, very, very old masks. Wow. Yes. So I'll take a drum.
This is a drum?
That's a drum. Yes.
What if they stand on to play it?
That's called the tukpa drum.
A talking drum.
Yes.
Wow. That's a big drum.
Right. Liberia has a lot of heritage, a lot of history. You saw the country cloth. So that's what you were given this afternoon. Primarily comes from Lufa. And so that's Liberia's hand-woven fabric, very, very traditional, woven normally by the people of Lupa County. And this is the wheel that they use to weave the fabric and this is exactly what they use today. It's still pretty much the same.
So it's actually, it was similar to what I actually got it when I was in Ghana.
Okay.
Where they did the kente cloth.
Okay.
And actually did that. So yeah, that was interesting.
Yes. So that's pretty much it. Okay, so we'll go
that requires a technique.
Yes, but I want to show you something before we
this?
leave. This is also one of the masquerades. This is one of the from one of the tribes.
What, somebody wore that thing?
Yes, it's a mask.
Man, you're gonna have a strong neck for that one.
I'm not sure if they wore that one. I'll tell you guys, I did see a representation of one of the.
All right, so what's this?
So Providence Island in 1822 is where the first free blacks that came onto Liberia's coast. This is where they landed. All right, so around Providence Island is what you call the Missouri River. So when you read the history, the settlers initially went on to Chevron, then they came onto Providence. So this is what that is. So this actually was done. I understand this was taken in 1900s when Firestone came in. But this is basically what the island looked like when the settlers arrived.
Wow. Okay. All right, we head upstairs.
So these are just showing you depictions of some of what's in our rainforest. Liberia is home to 40% of the Upper Guinea rainforest. So we are still a very green country. And at this time, so now we're heading up to the second floor where you have the history and heritage exhibition. So we'll start here. This is Chief Swakoko. And she was one of the greatest warriors of Liberia and one of the toughest chiefs of Liberia. She formed part of the early Firestone.
So what is this film? What is this film from? What is this film?
This is from the ceremony for Firestone. So if you were to watch this, it really goes into Firestone coming into Liberia, but it has other things going on in there as well.
That's some old film there.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Then we'll come on this side. We go into the colonization story. We've heard of Paul Coffey. He came in as the first African American to try to repatriate African free blacks onto the continent. And he died, before the American colonization was formed. So Paul Coffey sort of is the one who started that whole concept. The American colonization took it from that point. You also heard about Lakiri this morning. He was instrumental in getting people to sign up to come on that ship. When they got to Liberia, he, at Providence Baptist Church, was the founder of the church and has been very instrumental.
And this is your ancestors.
That's my ancestors. That's my great grandfather, Elijah Johnson. And he also was a part of that first group that arrived and became the first black governor.
So first of all, Paul Coffey, Elijah Johnson, Lot Carey.
Yes. So Paul Coffey is the first African American that tried to encourage African Americans to come back to the continent. He came, I believe, on one expedition, and then he died shortly after. So when the American Colonization Society was formed, it really stemmed from Paul Coffey's principle. So he was really the first African American to really push that concept.
So they first came here in 1822.
1822.
This is, he was moving, he took 38 to Freetown, Sierra Leone in 1816.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So he was really ahead of his time.
So folks talk about those enslaved people of African descent first coming here. They actually went to Sierra Leone first. Yes. So I didn't know that.
Yeah, so the initial ship that came into Africa sailed on Chevron Island in Sierra Leone. And the conditions, they were really, really harsh. And so some people died, and those that survived were then transferred to up Cape Mesurado, further up north, onto Providence Island. And others joined them onto Providence Island. And that migration continued, I believe, until 1862, 1864, somewhere in there.
Now, when we went to church, that's who the pastor was?
That was the first pastor of the Providence Baptist Church. So you can say he was the founder of the Providence Baptist Church. He was a Baptist minister and a physician. Very intelligent man. There's a school today called Black Curie. We have a street named in his honor. Elijah Johnson.
Right. So this is your ancestor.
That's my ancestor, direct ancestor, on my mother's side. So Elijah Johnson also was on that initial ship that came to Liberia. And most Liberians know him as the man that said, "Here we are, and here we shall remain," when the settlers began grumbling about the hardships.
Mm.
So he became the first black governor after Jehudy Ashman of the settlement.
So Declaration was signed in 1847, so he passed just a couple of years after.
Yes.
Wow, okay.
I think he became the governor in 1827, 28, somewhere.
Wow, and his son became president?
His son became president, Hillary Richard Wright Johnson.
Wow, okay. So your family has a little history here in Liberia.
We have a little bit of history. So these are just some of the, showing slavery, letting people understand,
And these here are actual photos that were shot here in Liberia.
Yes, arrival of free blacks onto the continent, meeting.
Wow.
Yes, so these are very.
Yeah, you can see how you can see how they were dressed.
Yes, very different and meshing with the culture. This depicts some of African Americans back in the day. These are the first presidents up to Tolbert. He was the first, I think, dark-skinned African American, because most of them were very, very fair complected.
Mm-hmm.
And so he became, Edward J. Roy became the first dark-skinned president. And like I said, True Whig Party, you saw the True Whig Party building. So they were all True Whig Party members.
Mm.
Then, of course, Joseph Jenkins Roberts. You have, his story. This is a table. This table was given to Joseph Jenkins Roberts by the Queen of England. This is the original table to the first president of Africa, the first Black African Free Republic. So here you have Liberia going through war. Many people have heard of President Sirleaf winning the Nobel Peace Prize. Lema Bowie also joined President Sirleaf, and she was also a Nobel Prize winner. She was one of those who did sit-ins when President Taylor was president and demanded peace for Liberia. So they led the cause to Liberia's freedom and peace in, I believe it was 20.
So how many women were, was it awarded to her or the group of women?
It was awarded to her because she led the group. She was the leader.
So the women of Liberia mass action, so was it more than 1,000 women? Wow.
Oh yes, the women came out. As you can see, there are some images of just basically saying peace. And from my understanding, they went to Ghana, I believe, for peace talks. And the men were in the room talking, and the women came and they, I think, held hands and said that the men would not leave. They pretty much held them hostage and said, "You will not leave that room until you bring Liberia to peace." And so that's what happened. And Lema Bowie led that cause. Yes, she along with many other women.
She doesn't get talked a lot about.
Yes, but she's here. I mean, she's here. She's working and she's doing her thing.
Would love to talk to her. Okay.
She's here. Oh, these are atrocities of war on this side. Very graphic images of the war. Once again, a reminder of how much Liberia lost during this war.
God. Severed heads, bodies. How many? What's the estimated number of people who died during this war?
I can't speak to that exactly, but it was a very atrocious war.
It was 15 years.
It went from 1990 up until 2003 is when we finally decided no more. So that's President Tubman. He and President Tolbert. So Tubman and Tolbert. But Tubman is known for the longest, he was the longest running president in Liberia's history.
Now you talk about this treaty over here. So let's.
Yes.
I want to see exactly.
So a couple of years ago, these documents were given to the museum. Apparently, these are the Treaty of Commerce and Navigation signed by President Abraham Lincoln between the United States and Liberia, and this was in 1862. So pretty much around the time of Emancipation Proclamation. So these documents. This one says, "Given under my hand at the city of Washington." This
12th day of January in the year of our Lord, 1863.
In independence of the said states, the 87th. But these documents were recently given by the American government.
And this proclamation right here.
This proclamation, I believe, was done in 1946. So this was under Tubman's administration.
So this is the condolence book when Tubman passed away. And so this,
it's very important that this picture is very critical. You see, you hear today about the Africa Union.
Yes.
Well, the Organization of African Union
OAU.
came to life in Liberia in between Tubman, Nkrumah, and Sekou. So they signed and began writing the OAU idea in a place called Senequili, Nimba County. So Liberia in, I think it was the early 60s, is when Liberia, and along with President Nkrumah and the president of Guinea, Sekou, all sat to draft the concept for the Organization of African Unity.
I didn't realize Tubman, 27 years as president.
He was 27 years in power. Yes.
But many books, the readings of that, they call him the father of Liberia.
Yes.
In many ways.
He was a very interesting person. So this gives, the Masonic, very active in Liberia. So this is a chair, I believe, Tubman's chair.
Wow, that's a big chair.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's make our way to Providence Island.
Okay.
Let's check it out. So this is Providence Island.
This is Providence Island. This is the Gabriel Johnson Tucker Bridge. This was erected in 1979, I believe.
Got it.
So prior to that, the island, as we know, this is where the settlers landed in 1822. So when they landed,
came from way out there. This is where they first came.
This is where they first came. This river around is called the Desperado River. So when they first went to Chevron Island, and life was so difficult at Chevron Island, Captain Stockton decided to check out up north, and along the Cape Mesurado, discovered this piece of land. And it was, at that time, it was called Dozwa Island. And when they first landed here, they called it Perseverance Island because they felt they had persevered, coming all the way on the high seas, going through Chevron Island in Sierra Leone, and then finally making it onto this island. So this is where, you want to say the birthplace of Liberia, this is where we first saw the coming together of what we're representing with this bicentennial. The bicentennial is the coming together of three groups of people.
So the original 86, when they came here, they docked here, and this is where they began to build their first homes.
Yes, yes.
Now that particular, the first 86, not a lot of survivors.
From Chevron Island, you had quite a few died. So what happened, as Reverend Reeves told you this morning, when a second ship came, and so they sort of joined, added more people on, and then they arrived onto Providence.
Got it. Because again, when they came here, they weren't prepared for the malaria and other illnesses.
So they had no idea about mosquitoes, didn't know how to treat the malaria. Also the food, what they were accustomed to eating, you wouldn't really find.
Right.
The sun, the heat. Liberia is known for heavy rains. About 6 months out of the year is very rainy. So they had some tough conditions, but they persevered. And so they first called it Perseverance Island and later became Providence Island.
So this memorial, if you will, I see that you have these booths, if you will, named after different counties.
Right. So what all this is, in commemoration of January 7th, which is the day that is recorded as the arrival date onto Providence Island.
Mhm.
This January 7th, an event was held to commemorate the arrival onto Providence Island. So these booths were set up during that event in January of this year.
Got it.
So yes. And the island is currently being looked at now to becoming more of a preservation or a tourism site.
Well,
So-
have they thought about? I mean, I see these buildings down here, just like in the museum. Have they thought about sort of erecting buildings that were likely similar to what they built in
Absolutely.
1822?
Yes, there's a project underway now, speaking exactly to that.
So this here obviously recognizes the Elizabeth, which was the first ship.
That came onto this soil,
Mm-hmm.
the ship Elizabeth.
Mm.
There you have a tree during the war. A lot of people died during the war. So that tree was erected. Those are all bullets. So that tree was erected from bullets.
Wow.
And guns and what have you. Once again, to commemorate, we never go back to where we were in the 90s and early 2000s. And during, when we were kids, this island was very busy. It was used a lot for children to come on and, have festivals.
And what is it now? What is it now used for?
Most times occasions. And currently there is a project underway to restore the island to what it used to be, I believe.
Uh-huh.
And that project is being done in partnership with the United States government.
Okay.
So the island is sort of not really being used at this time.
Mm-hmm.
By next year, hopefully we will have a good idea as to what that project will look like. But you still do have some things on the island that were here or built when the settlers came.
Mm-hmm.
So as we're heading to the hand pump, that hand pump was built, it's been here since, not a hand pump, it's a well that was built in 1822 from my understanding. And that was the well that they used for drinking water.
Okay.
So that is still here. And so you can imagine when they got onto the island, all of this that we're looking at today, which is Monrovia, was all bush.
Mm-hmm.
So they were really in a place that didn't look like, with the buildings and all that.
That was no city.
No.
They brought the city.
Right. So they landed in a forest, for lack of a better word. A lot of these trees, one was the cotton tree back there. It just fell. You still see a bit of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that tree, they said they used to meet under that tree a lot and hold discussions and what have you. But the stump is still there. But it recently fell.
Man.
Yes. This is the well. So some of these will be kept. I know on the back you still have some steps, stone steps to show one of the houses.
So this well was originally dug.
Yes. This well, what does it say? Department of Tourism, but this was the original well that they used when they first got here. So they sort of put a concrete around it to sort of keep it, to use it as a memorial.
Right.
So most of these structures might not be here after a while because the idea is to go back to what Providence Island was. But where we're walking is where the first
hollow ground.
86, yes, this is where they stayed. This is where they lived. This was their home until they were able to acquire land on the mainland. Then they were able to move to the mainland.
What direction do they think the ship came from?
Stockton Creek. Stockton Creek, I believe, is up this way. So for some reason, I'm not quite sure, but I know you do. This is what you call the island. What is this island refers to? This is Bushrod Island. So Bushrod Island, Stockton Creek comes around Bushrod Island. Stockton Creek was named for Captain Robert Stockton, who came in and did the initial negotiations. So I want to think all the time, I think they came up through Stockton Creek and then onto Cape Mesurado. So they would have probably come along this way. I believe from my understanding from the history books that this island behind here was also used a lot. It was a slave factory, as was this island. So where we're standing, slaves were also hauled from this point as well. Yeah.
Prior to them coming.
Prior to them coming. This was called Dozoa Island. So if you do look up Dozoa in the history book, you will see that they did operate a slave factory here as well.
The rich and interesting history of Liberia includes one of the first places that folks focused on when they arrived there, and that is the building of a house of worship. I had an opportunity to get a tour of the church with a historian as well as the church's pastor. Hi, John P. King. We here in Liberia. Now, you know I had to play Lily in the Valley, John. So, John, we at Providence Baptist Church. This is the first church built here in Liberia when the formerly enslaved folks of African descent came in 1822. So I'm about to interview the pastor to go to church service. So you know I told, look, you ain't here, but you here. So you know I'm a jam Lily in the Valley. And so I'm gonna hit show up next. All right, John. All right, so it's Sunday here in Liberia, about to get ready for church. But before I want to talk about stuff. First of all, explain the building that's behind you and its significance to education here in Africa.
So the building behind you was the College of West Africa, established by the Methodist Church. Melvin Cox, who was a missionary from the Methodist Church, established the school for higher education. And that's what CWB is.
And yet folks from all across the continent who studied there.
Folks from all across the continent, students from all across West Africa and Liberia in particular, from each county, got scholarships, or if their parents could afford it, they were sent to CWB. It has been one of the well-known and noted schools in the Republic of Liberia.
And one of the things that we talk about again, you talk about the formerly enslaved people of African descent coming here from the United States, but Pastor, there were so many people who came from other countries that are actually, we talk about Liberia is a melting pot in many ways, not just the tribes that were indigenous people who are already here.
Right, for sure it's a melting pot. You had folks from Barbados, you had African Americans who came, the first few ships that landed here, plus the indigenous folks that they met here. So, and then that's another dimension. As slavery was coming to an end, there were still folks who were being taken back to the West as slaves, but then they were intercepted on the high seas. And then that group was brought back and created a whole class of its own. Some folks were taken to the country called Congo. It's a country in East Africa, Congo. And folks from that nation was also brought here. So you have the indigenous, you have the African American, you have the folks from Barbados, and then you have folks from Congo. So imagine that melting pot of a nation that has created this place called Liberia. That's all of who we are, a mixture of different races, different colors, really. I mean, and then even as you have African Americans coming back here, you had the skin tone. All of that factor into how people were treated, how people behave, and how the country was formed out of the church.
Yeah. Well, and so it's interesting the conversations that we've had with folks, individuals who are Lebanese, individuals who are from here. Then you talk about folks from neighboring countries. And so it's just so many different influences, if you will, that have impacted the culture of this country. Right.
So you also had people from Jamaica. We talk about Marcus Garvey and the movement back to Africa. He was very influential in this whole melting pot. You have Miriam Makeba, who, when she spoke at the United Nations, South Africa banned her from returning. And Liberia allowed her asylum. So she actually lived here with Stokely Kai Michael in his 70s. Yes. So Liberia is such a melting pot. Like we say, that you have not only the Lebanese, you have people from all over the world. And
In fact, one of our presidents, President Tubman, that's what we call the open door policy.
Right.
Where as the nation was being formed in the 50s and 60s, went out to these nations you name and other African countries and asked them to come and be citizens here with their expertise so that they help build a new nation and develop this new place.
Well, speaking of that, do you believe that with this bicentennial celebration, that there needs to be serious consideration to Liberia doing what Ghana did, and that is extend citizenship to people from the diaspora?
yes, absolutely. Because when you look at the colonization society and the way the Constitution was written, it was written for all Black folk. Liberia was the place designated. I hate to say it was founded. It was the place designated on the continent of Africa for the Black Americans to return to. So this is actually, Liberia is actually the home. You mentioned Ghana. Ghana and Senegal, those were the place of no return. Those were the countries where our people were taken from and taken across the ocean. After the colonization society, after the war in America, this Liberia was the place that was designated for our people to return to, and for all Black folks. So if it is, then why not give all Black folk citizenship to come back home and be a part of Liberia and develop Liberia, a place where they can come home to and feel comfortable.
In fact, we've made that case. We meaning Providence Baptist Church. Providence is the mother of Liberia. The nation was founded in Providence Baptist Church, and this bicentennial that we celebrate is the return of the first group. But in that group was the folks led by Carey that founded Providence Baptist Church. And so last year, 1821 to 2021, Providence Baptist Church celebrated 4 bicentennial. And that bicentennial came to a close in December. And as a part of that celebration, we have been trying to engage government as well, and we will fully support that. We think it's important that this just not be a one-year bicentennial, that this celebration goes on, that this celebration doesn't just happen here. This should happen in Barbados. It should happen in states around the United States, bringing together people of color. It should also be a part where we offer citizenship to people of color in the United States, because I say more than any other country on the continent of Africa, Liberia is the place that bears the home of people of color in the United States.
And then what's behind us? So this is Centennial Plaza,
right?
So of course was erected after the first 100 years.
Right, exactly. Right. So the first 100 years, it was a place built for worship, as a sign of what God had done for us as a nation and as a church to celebrate. So over the years, the induction of our presidents were done in this hall.
But it's important for the government. The focus has been on 1822, but 1821 came before 1822,
right.
And it started with the church. Providence being the cornerstone of the nation, we ought to be letting our people know not just of 1822, but of 1821, because when the people came from landed down the hill at Providence Island and they walked up here to form these triads, which is the Methodist. Providence was the first, and then the Presbyterian. I'm sorry. They started the formation. It was in that church where the Constitution was signed. It was in that church where the flag was made. So you cannot speak of 2022 without referencing 2021, particularly with the government, because that was the seat, the house of the government.
Right. In fact, like you said, the first section of both houses of legislature was held in that building. So the government started in the church. It wasn't just born in the church, but it began to operate as a government inside of the church. And this has happened nowhere else that I know in history.
All right. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. There were so many things that we wanted to experience in Liberia. And so we travel into different parts going to communities and visiting various places, even we came upon a middle-class development, a housing development that was being built in Liberia. After that, we ventured to the coastal areas. We got to visit several resorts there in Liberia. And I must say, it felt like we were in Hawaii or many other places along the beach, quiet, peaceful, and absolutely gorgeous. There are many programs that were taking place around the Bicentennial, including the Liberia Honors Program, which we were able to drop by after our dayside activities were over.
Now we have our celebration to be here with us this afternoon. Now, all what we are doing today to you, proud President of Liberia, down to our ministry, the minister in Liberia here, through our culture leader, who is our army leader, which is the culture leader. So we are here to come here. So this morning we are here. This your done.
Thank you, brother. You see, I could have loved to take this time for to the chief, but I being the coordinator of the Chief and Head of Council of the Republic of Liberia, I'm close with the authority when the traditional queen say go ahead. When the mayor say I make you free, you do it. We are happy. We are happy and proud to see our midst. Like the queen said, the opposition sometimes need a good side of the past. And we believe our traditional leaders. In every given situation, there is bad, there is good, but sometimes talk about the good to save your country. We have traveled to other countries. We didn't see always good, though. We saw bad, we saw good. But we come on the good because we know your heritage, your dignity, and your country. So for our traditional people, we are happy to see good always coming and we identify with the good. From government to government, the Republic of Liberia, the Excellency, Dr. John Manovia, managed by the traditional people, we are happy to know you. Happy with the man. Any granny, when you get a you, everybody will be surprised after this.
People, God forgive me. May I please come home? Mama, may I come around? I am happy. I love my business. But I really love my business. I will. I love business. Power to me. In a traditional meeting last night, I made a commitment that Martin will be an ambassador for Liberia. Of Liberia and tell the real story. In Bicentennial, that's what it means. Bicentennial means tell your story, rebrand and reclaim your thing. So we have come. But you will say, you want me to be the ambassador? I'm just going to be wearing one gown, going to a meeting. Every day I go to a meeting, the same gown. I said, no, this is Liberia. When it's Liberia, it has to be good. Yes.
No shaking, mama.
Because he is my mayor and my mayor is here. Somebody I was standing and somebody brought this to me. I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know where it says. I don't even know. I can't even read. So listen to this. Wow. Jesus.
Wow.
Republic of Liberia, National Council of Chiefs and Elders, NACEL, Certificate of Chieftains awarded to Roland Sebastian Martin from the USA in recognition of your strong advocacy utilizing the mainstream media on the protection of human rights, respect for democracy, and the rule of law in Africa and the world. This honor is therefore bestowed upon you as of today's date, and you shall be called Chief Roland Sebastian Fromoti Paula Martin of Let me read again. This honor is therefore bestowed upon you as of today's date. You shall be called Chief Roland Sebastian Fromoti Paula Martin of Bon County, Republic of Liberia. 20 days of February 18, 2022, in the city of Monrovia, County of Motherland County, near the mayor of Monrovia, the city government, by the traditional chiefs, elders, and the queen and traditional women of the Republic of Liberia. Signed, my name on the line, Queen Julie Amy, traditional Queen Republic of Liberia. Madam Sita Essa, national coordinator. Approved by the Chief Zanzan Kawa, national chairman, National Council of Chiefs and Elders, Republic of Liberia. I will turn it over to the mayor of the city of Monrovia to present is to
well, Julie, Ambassador Julie Andy, our distinguished media visiting guests, traditional elders, schools, and in the presence of Chief Zanda Kao, who happen to be the national chairperson, and each and every one of you here currently. We want to say to you, Sebastian Flomo, Bawala, Martin, what has been written here is not to appease you, but it's a testament of how we feel. Too many persons have visited this country. Not many of them are recognized. Not many of them have been bestowed upon. If I may be corrected, if this is your first time visiting this country, for you to be well received by the owners of this country, it's not just what you call pageantry or you call funfair. When you receive gift and recognition from our chiefs and elders, it tells you that the true owners of the land, not visitors, not strangers. So I think I even thrilled to share your moment with you at this time, at this point in time. Say to you, we may not have so much, but this is an instrument that interprets our sincerity, our kindness to you as a true African. Your words go so far. We understand the magnitude of your words. We understand the commitment of your sincerity. So we want to say to you, in the name of our President, His Excellency Ambassador George Manawia, who in fact you should be meeting on Monday, it's been clear, he has instructed what is happening here. We want you to be the lone voice, out, not to say perceive the wrongs, no, without no intention. We say reveal the truth, fight for the truth, stand with your people, protect your people. And this is where we call home. Home is where the heart is. As you now be referred and bestowed by one of our famous chiefs in our country, without no doubt, believe the integrity of this name there, this honor shall be exemplified. In the name of our Father and the special grace, the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and I hereby present you.
I can't call you my brother anymore because the chief that you are named after, Promo T. Bawlo, will give you the right of it. Promo T. Bawlo was also a godfather. Anybody in the Republic of Liberia, you tell them what a godfather means, is not an easy task. Promo T. Bawlo was also a paramount chief of Bon County, where Swakoko, the chief Swakoko is from. So I'm writing you this, and they read, Mr. Roland S. Martin, USA. Dear Mr. Martin, I am pleased to extend sincere greetings to you and want to thank you so much for honoring our invitation to visit with us. We are grateful for your visit and hope this will mark a new beginning of our relationship. Having said that, and in appreciation of your good work, I am herewith on behalf of the traditional people of Bone County, offering you 1 acre of land, which is situated in the home of a strong chief, of whom you will be named today. And you have already been named, so you own that land. We hope you will love and use it for developmental purposes for the women and children of Liberia. This is signed by Queen Julie Emily, Traditional Queen Republic of Liberia, Cultural Ambassador Republic of Liberia, and Executive Director of Liberia Proceedings. Thank you, God bless you. I'm stepping out now. Thank you. While we were doing that honoring, what I would like to do is to have Mr. Rufus Dakete go with us to Bone County and look at the acre of land. We have the photograph here I'm going to give you, but you will go and see. We'll demarcate it, make the deed, everything, sign it, and we'll take it to the mayor's office. And the mayor's will approve it, send it to you, wherever you are. You have a land, start working on it there. So wherever you want to put it, development fast. We're showing you that we believe we're not being fake. Us, we are real. So we have come to give you these gifts. Where we always go to our mayor for you. Liberia has a lot of diamonds and gold and all of that. The Lord Mayor, they sit up on the road. I know you like that outfit. All right. Before, when I saw you in that case, I'm ready to go and get a That's not a problem. Make my outfit. He wanted to be named Chief Property Owner. If you go to Hong County, and you have nothing to say on my case. This is, it gives me authority. Certain places in Hong County, you couldn't speak for your king. It doesn't mean you owe. It has authority. There you authority. So you just
That stays with me.
yeah. This is antique. This is property. They're all men you Republic of Liberia. And the only person that is going to speak here now is the mayor of the city and then the chief. So, ladies and gentlemen, the chief will speak and the mayor
Well, first and foremost, let me thank everybody for coming out today. It is not a cool day, but thank goodness for these tents. I absolutely appreciate everyone who played a role in this, the wonderful drummers, the dancers, the singers. It was a great performance by all of them as well. Also, I want to thank, we've been hanging out with Rufus all week, Queen as well as other folks we have been traveling around, of course, with the mayor, Monrovia as well. We certainly enjoyed Monrovia Day. We actually broadcast that and streamed it, so back to the United States. I do think it's important, and one of the reasons why I want to come here is because I'm also a student of history, and not just African American history, but also world history as well. And the reality is that in the United States, there are very few African Americans who really know and understand the history of people of African descent in that country and Liberia. And as somebody who decided to become a journalist 40 years ago, it was about telling our stories. As I said when I spoke on Monrovia Day, when the nation's first Black newspaper was created, it was called Freedom's Journal, March 16, 1827. Their lead article said, "We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us." And when I was talking to various government officials, I said to them, because I understand how mainstream media works, I spent 6 years at CNN, I left 8 years ago. And I said to them, I said, I can guarantee you that for your bicentennial, CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, ABC, CNN, they're not going to be there. And the reality is, we oftentimes are asking and hoping mainstream media shows up to cover our stories and to tell our story. And what I've always said is, it is a shame when we have to ask folk who don't look like us to tell our story. And so if we're relying on somebody else to tell our story, then they are in control of our story. And how they tell our story then defines what is told. You look at most movies out of Hollywood that involve stories based here in the motherland, they're told through the eyes of someone white. It's rarely ever told through the eyes of someone black, of an actual African. And so that has always been important to me, being able to control our story, control our narrative, and not having to ask someone else's opinion. And so when I had the ministers on my show back in September, October, they said, we would love for you to come to visit. And I said, well, I can do you one better. I'll bring my show with me. I said, because I don't have to ask you. And so just like when I went to Ghana in 2019, next month, we will launch a multi-part docuseries on the year of return. All of the video that we're shooting here, that we shot all week, we're actually putting together, and we've already streamed some stuff live, but that will also be part of a multi-part series explaining this story. Now, why is that important? Because of the fact that I own it, because of how we use the platform, it will always be there. It will always be public. So 50 or 100 years from now, when we are ancestors, someone will be able to see the story of what we covered for the Bicentennial, and it will be done through our eyes in our way. And so that's why it was important for me to be here, to bring my show, to bring my Black Star Network here. And in fact, I named it Black Star Network. We were sitting around and I hired a company and they sat in a room, a whole bunch of marketing people, and they spent a whole weekend trying to just come up with different names. And I hated all the names they came up with. And so one of my guys said, well, we got to have a name. And again, I had just gotten back from Ghana, and then it hit me. I said, well, you know, Marcus Garvey created a cruise line. And the cruise line that he wanted to create was specifically to bring people of Africa to sit in America to Liberia and other parts of the African diaspora. So he created the Black Star Cruise Line for the purpose of connecting the people in the African diaspora. And so I said, well, we're going to call it Black Star Network. Serves that same purpose. And so when we're telling our stories, we're sharing it across the world, people are now experiencing it through a different set of eyes. And my last point is this here. There was a guy named Claude Barnett. There's a wonderful book on him called Claude Barnett, Associated Negro Press, and the Jim Crow Paradox by Gerald Horne. Claude Barnett created the Associated Negro Press, and they covered events all across Africa, all across the world. But as Jim Crow began to recede, they pretty much went out of business, what was called the Jim Crow Paradox. So my good friend, Dr. Greg Carr at Howard University, I sent him a text this morning, and he said, you're walking in the footsteps of Claude Barnett and picking up where he left off. And again, it is about us controlling our stories. And so already, I've been putting posts on social media, on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, and people there are seeing what I'm posting, and they're going, I didn't know this, I didn't know that. And so what we can no longer do is say what our folks don't know. It's this generation's responsibility to make sure folks do know, and then impress upon the next generation to keep telling the story. And when we do that, then we'll be much better off. Now, wherever I go around the world, I often run into men of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. And what I discovered is that many of the top leaders in Liberia are my fellow fraternity brothers. So while they're at our hotel, they dropped by and we had a brotherhood where they presented me with various gifts. It was great to see the brothers of the Black and Old Gold there in Liberia.
Like other speakers said, there's a very great opportunity for us to actually have you in Liberia. And since you're rather some of the work you've been doing, for our country, we see Alpha in you. So because of our brother who's worked for humanity in the United States and probably other parts of the world, coming into our country, bringing the Alpha spirit to all of the different contributions you made so far, the fraternity decided to actually honor you. And this is a culture of, our fraternity. We recognize people for great things to do, contributions to make. So we have a very, very beautiful traditional attire with Alpha colors that we're going to be guiding you with. And then, of course, there will be other things that we'll follow. To tell you, you are in our hearts. We appreciate you. We love you, as a brother, and for all of the contributions you've made. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Don't drop that. No, don't drop that. This gown is a very beautiful traditional gown, and it has a meaning behind it. Mm-hmm. You wear this gown, you must have cultural heritage.
We'll do right. The folks on Zoom on there, so gotta make sure they see it.
Okay. So we're gonna guide you with this and giving you a name from Bone County. And Bone County happens to be the centrally located county in our country. It hosts the largest tribe in this country, where the vice president comes from. So we're naming you Nam Kole. Nam Kole is a likable person. A likable person in our tradition.
Nam Kole, how to spell it?
Nam Kole.
You have to document that.
We will document that.
First of all, how to spell it?
N-A-K-O-L-L-E-H. Nam Kole. It means big brother Kole.
All right.
Yes. So that's the traditional name we're giving you. And we're also going to give you this hat. And you wear this, it tells you that you are real Nangole.
All right. All right. There we go. There we go. Oh yeah. Wow. I'm always rocking black and gold now. So let's be clear. Okay.
So we're going to be calling. So we're going to be calling. And just before we call it. Okay, so we'll call Brother T, who will give a presentation or make a presentation on behalf of the chapter and the international chapter as a district director. So Brother T, you are welcome.
Good morning. As I mentioned earlier, I'm T. Nelson Williams. I'm the area director for Alpha West Africa, including Ghana, Nigeria, Liberia. In addition to the garment that you have been presented, this scarf that you can wear around your neck, this goes very well with black, white, or gold embroidery. Because this is engraved with the international district seal. This seal was actually designed about 5 years ago. I have that as a lapel pin, and we have very few that's out. Limited edition, less than 100. But you have the seal that talks about the light of the world. To let everyone in the world know that Alpha is not local. Alpha is global. We are represented in every part of the world. and Liberia is just one aspect. So we want you to have this, and this tells us, as you leave from here, you are honorary member of the International District of Africa. Brothers, give it a hand. Brother Mark. Yes, please, please. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Make it even. All right, we right there.
Yes.
There we go. All right.
Then to add, so, Brother Sal, I will give this to you while I make the last presentation, and then you can take over. About 6 years ago, I was able to capture a historical perspective of our chapter in Alpha in Liberia. Eta Epsilon Lambda was established October 6, 1958 by 17 illustrious men. Some were Americans and some were Liberians who have returned home and found the need to have Alpha take a leadership role in Liberia. It's also pleasing to note that we also captured that the first 3 Black diplomats at the U.S. Embassy in Liberia were Alpha men. So we have a proud heritage as Alpha in Liberia. So this book I have autographed in gold ink for you. The history of Eta Epsilon Lambda chapter from 1958 to 2016.
All right.
So, brothers, please.
All right, here we go.
Brother Sal, I turn it back over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Brother AD. So at this point, we will call on the Vice President, Brother Elias Shiranin, to pin our brother. He will present him with a lapel pin. So, Brother VP.
Thank you very much, boss. So, Brother Martin, I'm sure you pretty well already know that the flag of a country is a symbol of that country's sovereignty and that country's life. And being a former diplomat, I understand its significance in all respect of what a flag is. So we basically trying to localize it. You know, so my brothers have asked me to, all right, do this.
All right.
I appreciate it. And then we also got some 8x8 call for you as well.
Oh yeah. Can never have not enough cufflinks.
Excellent. So we also present this. Come closer to go quick photo.
All right. Yeah, so that we have these.
That goes well with your outfit.
Go very well with your outfit. These are all traditional.
Plus, you know, I got all these alpha ones right here.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Just go
these 3 right here.
Wow. That's good.
So we're to put this on his hand over here.
This one I got the name on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. This ever go on this?
That's Brother Greaves. He brought that as a gift.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right, cool.
Quickly.
That's A5A and G side. That's my undergrad chapter. Those were sent to me, so I figured.
Our distinguished guests and the leadership and members of the Alpha Fraternity Chapter 260. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Murphy, as Bradley said. I serve as the military assistant to the Chief of Staff and Forces of Liberia, who wanted actually to be here, but because of some national duty, he's out in the United States, attending to some official issues. He's proud and humble of the work you do to humanity and social development. On that, he asked that I present you this plaque, this personal plaque, that you found a place in your house to place this.
All right.
To remember him and the organization he represents. Whenever you look at it, it reminds you of the gratitude and appreciation we have for the work that you do. Thank you very much, sir.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, we look right here. Look right here. There we go.
Hold on, Roland. Hold
Thank
on.
you, sir.
I'll go back there.
Nightlife of any place is always great, and Liberia was no different. It was fantastic for us to visit one of the beach resorts, and man, it was just amazing to see just a sea of Black folks all along the beach, and then to experience the music and the dance and the food. It made for a fabulous night, and y'all know me. I'm going to always dance. And at one point, I said to the musicians, y'all can't leave yet. It's time to get one more jam and make everybody here get up and dance.
Dance. So, hey, y'all stop being cute. Come on, get up. You already set your clothes. Y'all too little cute. We got one song. We about to turn this thing out. All the people, I got 20 million viewers a month in the United States. So let's show them how y'all party in Liberia during your bicentennial celebration. Man, y'all ready? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, kick it! Come on. Okay, come on. Get up, come on, get out here. Get up. Come on here. Come on, let's go. Y'all get out here. Let's go. Don't be scared. Come on. I see y'all. Come on. Come on. That's it. That's it. You in the circle, baby. I see y'all back here. Come on. Yes, That's how you end the party. Y'all, thanks a bunch. Put your hands together. Thank you very much. Put your hands together. There you go. King Solomon, 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 King Solomon. That's it, homie. You ain't got to go home, but you got to get the hell out of here. Go take you. Yes, sir. So now y'all know, no matter where I go, we gonna turn the party out. So we shut the parties down. Everybody sitting around here drinking and chilling. No, we gonna get the groove on. Because I told you, if I leave a party and my suit dry, it wasn't fun. But when I'm soaking wet, we gotta strip it off, that's a party. Now it's time to go. That's how people see DJ set. Just like I felt when I went to Ghana in 2008 and 2019, it was an unbelievable experience to be able to be
in the motherland, to experience the history of Liberia, to know and understand that freed slaves, individuals who America did not want, were sent to this land, founding this country. It's always important as an African American to understand our history and not rely on what they taught us, but to actually gain the knowledge and insight ourselves. Every time I go to Africa, it's always something new and interesting. I can't wait until I return to Liberia, and I can't wait until I visit other African nations. And so should you.